The best way to introduce Superman to general audiences today is to make him speak their language. To contextualize means to place or study in context. And My Adventures with Superman gives us the perfect example of what that would look like. Here are a few reasons why I think the team at Adult Swim has done an excellent job with this. Number 1, it makes Superman relatable. At DC, there's always talk about grounding certain characters, which is great, but oftentimes, there's a risk of grounding the character so much that you can lose the essence of a fictional character. With a timeless character like Superman, you need to handle it with care. I mean, we're talking about the superhero who started it all. Super is his thing. And that's what I think this TV show has excelled in doing, because it takes everything that makes him relatable and highlights the struggle of being human. Once you see that, you automatically relate to the characters. You're now rooting for this person and the journey he's about to embark on. So when you see Clark transform into Superman, you cheer him on. In a metaphysical sense, we also want to fly, solve problems, be super fast, stop evil, and do good for society. It's that balance that they've explored really well in the TV show, the godlike powers versus knowing what it is to be human. The show does this by showing Clark being at two places at once or figuring out his powers, drinking too much coffee, trying to excel at being a good journalist, finding out what his alien origin is, etc. That leads to the second thing I want to highlight, the relationship between Clark, Lois, and Jimmy. Admittedly, it sometimes does feel like the typical CW superhero needs a team to function and create drama for the characters to develop. I think it's been a while since we've seen anything interesting happen with Lois and Jimmy. Say what you will, but I, for one, was excited to see these characters in a new light. And with that team dynamic, it seems pretty obvious that these two would be the first to know about Clark's secret identity. It looks so obvious to me that these two would be the first ones to find out because they are right there with Clark when stuff goes down. I also like how that dynamic was used to create tension between the three of them and take their friendship further, and even serve as a good way for Clark and Lois to get to know each other better and ultimately fall in love. By the way, the voice actors for this show do a phenomenal job. Like I say, if I forget that the voice I'm listening to is Jack Quaid and only hear and see Superman, that's a job well done. The same goes for the other voice actors on this show as well, like Alice Lee, who plays Lois Lane, and Ishmael Sahid, who plays Jimmy Olsen. The villains in this movie, however, I think are weak and not that memorable. It's a good place to start as the first season for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing the villain in Season 2. The person we saw at the end of Season 1, I'm assuming is Zod. But either way, just a few seconds of screen time with him was way more threatening than some killer robots. I mean, it's nice to see Amanda Waller pull the strings and General Lane get roped in. I was so freaking happy to finally see the Superman-related characters come back to life and see all of them on this show. You forget how much more there is to the Superman mythos, and you start to realize the world around him as well. You start to see the elements that truly make Clark human. The third thing I want to talk about is the music. It's safe to say that when it comes to DC characters, the themes of these characters have primary importance alongside other aspects like cinematography, script, costume, etc. In this show, Dominic Lewis and Daniel Futcher have done a phenomenal job of fleshing out the soundscape for this show. From the opening theme itself, we get this feel of an anime-inspired opening, which is even heavily implied by the visuals shown on screen, and the music just adds to it. The one piece of music that I've fallen in love with, however, is the Kryptonian theme. I wish I knew what it was called. I cannot seem to find it to stream as well. But if you know where it's available to stream, let me know in the comments below. I like this theme because it's got this ancient mystic vibe to it, almost like a choir chanting in a cathedral, but the images on screen you get are of alien tech that's being used by Superman's father. There are some parts of the show where the theme repeats itself, maybe too much. And I get that it could be because it's an animated TV show. Let's just say because it's anime-inspired, shall we? Also, I just wanted to remind you to please like, share and subscribe. This really helps me stay motivated to put out more content like this for you guys. Which brings me to the last thing I want to talk about, the show's anime-inspired style. From the opening theme, like I mentioned earlier, it does feel like the show is heavily inspired by anime. If the opening theme doesn't convince you, then the Superman transformation into this suit should. You can easily compare that with the transformation from the infamous anime series Sailor Moon with Clark's transformation in My Adventures with Superman. Along with the dead obvious inspiration taken from anime, there are also a lot of other subtle moments in the show where the animation itself is inspired by anime. From the mouth movements to the way the characters show extreme emotion to even a few fight scenes. Although it does feel like it's anime-inspired, it doesn't fully lean into it. I'd say it's a blend of the traditional animation style we've been getting from Warner Brothers Animation with a ton of anime-inspired stuff mixed in the visual language of the show. What did you think of My Adventures with Superman? Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, do good, and I'll see you in the next one.